For three reasons really. First of all, it's to thank Arts Council England, British Council, the Amazon Crossing, Free Word, Literature Across Frontiers, Words Without Borders, BCLT, Society of Authors, and the Translators Association, all these brilliant people with whom we work to bring this centre to London Book Fair each year, including London Book Fair itself. It's a fantastic gathering of so many people and places. Secondly, the reason is to introduce two guests this evening. First of all, Ellie Steele from Harville Secker, who's going to introduce announce the prize winner of this year's Harville Secker Young Translators Prize. And then Sarah Bauer, who's going to be talking about the new series of literary translation mentoring programmes. So I'll start by welcoming Ellie Steele.
Okay. Hello everyone, and thank you very much to the Writers' Centre Norwich and the Translation Centre for hosting our announcement this afternoon. I'm delighted to say that this year's Harville Secker Young Translation Prize is open for entry. The prize recognises the achievements of young translators at the start of their careers, and for 2015 our language is going to be Polish. Entrants will translate the short story Tatuaż by Maciej Miłkowski, which I hope Antonia's nodding at me, so I think I got that right. And our judges will be the wonderful translator Antonia Lloyd-Jones, Polish-born author Eva Hoffman, Catherine Taylor, who's the journalist and the Deputy Director of English Pen, and myself. The prize is open to anyone between the ages of 18 and 34. There's no restriction on country of residence, and the deadline for our entries this year is the 31st of July 2015. The winner's name will be announced in October, and he or she will receive £1,000, an invaluable mentorship with Antonia, which is being kindly supported by Writers' Centre Norwich and the Polish Cultural Institute here in London. And they'll also be invited to Crossing Border Festival in The Hague in November in 2015. The story and details of how to enter are available at youngtranslatorsprize.com. They'll also be on the Vintage website, and we'd be so grateful with your help spreading the word about the prize this year. So thank you, and I hope you'll enter.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. As of about 1 minute ago, the entries are now open online on your website, on BCLT's website and on our website, and we'll be in touch to ask you to spread the word as much as possible. Our second activity this evening is, second person to introduce is Sarah Bauer, who's been leading the Literary Translation Mentor Programme for the last 18 months with BCLT, and she's going to give us some really fantastic news, both about the current programme and the future programme. Sarah.
Evening, everybody. Okay, I won't keep you long because I know everybody's really here for a drink. But I just wanted, I think most people here probably know about what began life as the BCLT Translator Mentoring Scheme. But for those of you who don't, a little potted history of the scheme, which was begun by Danny Hahn, who is lurking over there, in 2010. With a small pilot project. It's run every year since then, and Danny will correct me if my maths is wrong, but I think to date we have run mentorships successfully in pushing 20 different languages, including some languages which are very underrepresented in English translation, such as Latvian, Tamil, Catalan, and Welsh, as well as some of the more mainstream languages. We've had to date a total of 52 mentees. And I think that the most interesting and exciting figure is that when I was totting this up on my fingers, I thought that we had, from those mentees, 11 of them had full book translation contracts arising out of the mentorship and the tremendous support they had from their mentors. In the space of time it took me to register this morning and walk across the hall to get here, I found out about 4 more. So it's now 15, just like that, which I think says a tremendous amount about this scheme, about what Danny established, and about the group of mentors we have and the wonderful people they've mentored over the years. Now, things are changing in Norwich, which is now the only English UNESCO City of Literature bid that was led by Writers' Centre Norwich, by Chris's team. Building on that, Writers' Centre is expanding to develop in Dragon Hall, which is a beautiful medieval building in Norwich, for those of you who don't know it. It's one of the oldest buildings in the city. A national centre for writing, which will develop over the next few years. And as part of that development, our mentorship scheme is going to shift from BCLT at the university to be more focused with Writers' Centre Norwich and to be managed under that umbrella. We felt that that was a sensible and good way to go, a very exciting way to go, to bring literary translators much more in line with the way in which Writers' Centre Norwich supports all kinds of creative writers, poets, novelists, translators, writers of creative non-fiction. We feel that it makes sense to bring everything together like that. So that's what will be happening. I hope that there won't be too many overt changes. I shall continue to manage the scheme, and the only big change that I think people will notice straight away is that the next full mentorship scheme will now not begin in January 2016, but will begin in October 2016 and run until March 2017. The reason for this is partly administrative, whilst we make the changeover, and not to be rushed into doing something and not managing it as well as we would like to in January. It's also partly to do with Writers' Centre's Norwich overall programming plans and how it will fit in better with those. So it's merely a practicality. And for those of you who are involved in mentoring, you'll be delighted if I end on a high note. It is an awful lot easier to claim your expenses from WCN than it is from the university. So it's a good thing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. I always think a rousing kind of approval of one's administrative infrastructure is a good way to end a speech, but I'm not going to end there. I'm going to say two further things. Firstly, as Sarah mentioned, the mentoring program was started by Danny Hahn in 2010. For those of you who weren't here yesterday when Danny received his London Book Fair Market Focus Outstanding Contribution to Mexico Country of Focus, a round of applause. Fantastic. Every single resident of Mexico is lining up to shake Danny's hand over the next 12 months. This is what I've been told. It might not be true. I don't know. Finally, it's just to thank all of our partners here and all of you for coming this afternoon to say that we're really incredibly excited about working more and more with literary translators. We want to talk to you, as many of you as possible, about our events and our programs, our work with Sarah, our work with Havel Second, and with others, and particularly with the people who are supporting this stand here today. And finally, you should really get back to the drinks table quick before it all runs dry. Have a lovely rest of your evening. We'll be round to talk.